All right, fellas. So this is me today. This is both. I'm intentionally trying to kick my front leg back as I go down the mound. Um, so this isn't. I don't always do this in the game. I probably don't do this as much, but I wanted to do it to show myself that I could, and just display a little bit of body control. So I want you guys to see what it looks like. So that's where I kick out. So I'm doing this and I'm trying to allow it to help me get down the mound farther. Now, one thing that I've always struggled with is exactly what I talked to you guys about, and that's my back knee. So from behind, look at how hard I'm trying to stay turned away. Okay, so I'm using all of my movements to try to stay facing with my chest and hips faced away, and even here my hips are still faced away. So that's going into foot strike, foot strike. So everything up to this point was to try to make sure that this is the most enhanced movement as I can be. So when I get in a foot strike, I'll tell you what I do well, what I don't do well. So all my movements back here have gotten so much better. Okay, but once I do get into foot strike, you're going to notice I don't have very good hip rotation. My back hip does not get that much farther ahead of the process than my back shoulder. Okay, so what I do well is, for a lot of you that I talk about your glove side, look at mine. I can't even see mine on the left, and then on the right, it's completely in front of me. So I'm making this turn with my hips. So I truly, and this is coming from somebody who relied 100% on my upper half to turn my shoulders when I played at Hamlin. So all I'm doing is taking my back hip to the catcher as fast as I possibly could. I was talking to a couple guys today. One thing that sucks for me is I can't practice. My shoulder can't handle me throwing very much. So the amount of times a year that I throw as hard as I can is less than 30. I was gonna get surgery last December, so for me, I try to throw as and my job, I throw all the time. I just don't throw max effort. So I try to minimize the amount of times that I actually throw as hard as I possibly can, knowing that my arm really can't handle it anyway. So some of the things that I know that I'm inefficient from, I don't know that like this is before this summer, like the last 2 summers leading up to this summer. Instead of just taking my back hip to the catcher as fast as I could, what I would do is I'd extend my back leg. I would really try to triple extend more than I do now. And I talked about my drag today. I had more of a drag when I would do that. So there are things that I could be working on if I was healthy, and who knows how much better I could get at this. But bottom line is I was somebody who broke down hard on their back leg. So this position in college, my back knee was shit. And I've changed that. I mean, I internally rotate a little bit there, but relatively speaking, I'm doing that in sync with my front leg. So you see, as my front leg opens up, that's when you see my back knee internally rotate. And that happened way earlier when I used to throw in college. So I lack hip rotation. A lot of you guys have way better hip and shoulder separation than I do, and you're not even, and that's just you basically falling. Some of you have great hip and shoulder separation, and you're not putting in the timing or the effort that I am. So, you guys get a little bit more comfortable with these concepts, and it's going to be pretty cool. Last thing, so I'm going to focus the one on the left here. So this is something that I know has gotten dramatically better. I know I used to be very toe heavy, quad heavy. So as I lift, you can see that I'm over the center of my foot. Okay, you can see the position of my body. My front leg is turned away. My knee and foot are facing the camera right now. I'm doing that on purpose. And when I do go into flexion, as I do go down, I'm countering my head with my hips. So a lot of you that do this, I'll draw another line here. When you do this, your knee goes past your toe. Whoop, that's a terrible line. Go the other way. Okay, and I do a really good job of keeping my knee inside my toe just like I would in a squat. So when you see it break the plane, that's me internally rotating. So as I stride down the mound, as I get into this position, I'm staying through my heel. This is where the balance matters. So the combination of me learning how to move down the mound early, combined with the weight distribution and hip position, has really gotten me to throw the ball as well as I have ever. I know this is getting long, but I want this to be a reference for you guys. Okay, last thing. Look at my glove side right now. Okay, so as I travel down the mound, I'm basically in the same exact position. This is what I mean. Look at my glove side. This is where I feel my hip drive. So watch my heel right now. As soon as it leaves, that's when I'm driving my hip through. Right, so I'm driving my hip through, and that's causing my glove side to come to my side. So I'm not thinking about that whatsoever. I'm just throwing with my shoulders. I'm looking over my glove side. Like, this is my line of sight as I'm throwing. Hip drive triggers my throw. And then everything follows. So I want you guys to understand that I time my upper half well, but my lower half lacks the ability to do what many of you are absolutely capable of doing. And know this. If you lose a little bit of hip turn and gain upper half timing where your upper half isn't too early, that is going to make you a better pitcher. So right now, if you look at your video and you have a ton of hip turn at foot strike, but your shoulders are open, you might lose some of that pre-foot strike hip turn to make sure that your upper half is not too early. So anyway, I just want you guys to see this. Please let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this is helpful to see me.